All right. So you're building a sales team. You have a sales team. You want to grow your business. I want to give you the simple team system that I do when I'm working with clients and I'm working with teams. My name is Wayne Sutton, fractional sales manager and persuasion coach. And I'm going to talk to you about the team system. So the reason I listed as a team system, I want you to be able to remember these four areas really good. Number one is the letter T. The letter T. So if you're not doing all four of these in your business, then we definitely need to talk. But I want to start with the letter T. And the letter T should be pretty simple to understand, and that's simply training. Training is something that must be done every single week. Now, for some teams, if your sales are really low, if refund rates are high, whatever, we may do daily training. But in the beginning, you need to have a training platform. When somebody comes on board to your company, this is what they're selling. They need to understand the product, the service. They need to have enough understanding to have believability in it, right? But also how to sell, how to communicate effectively, how to overcome objections, how to properly frame a call, how to reframe situations, how to do follow-up. All of this is something that must be done. So you need to have a training platform, number one, for your employees, whether they're the SDRs, whether they're closers, whatever their role is, they need to have a training platform, number one. And then they need to have training every single week. So most of the teams I'm working with will have a training schedule. One day a week, we go back and on our meetings, which we're going to get to, and we go through that training platform, or we go through one section. I'm working with one team now, for instance, and what we're working on is reframing. Okay, reframing people when they get off topic. When you're talking with someone and they start getting off topic, taking leadership and how to reframe, and also how to reframe some of their statements or questions. So that's what we're working with that team. Okay. Now, when you're doing this weekly, you have homework assignments. You give them homework assignments. Hey, study this, look at this, and bring this back. And then as a team, you're working on it together. So training is absolutely crucial. And it's something that can never, ever be kind of like ignored. Even if your team's performing, top level training. In fact, what you'll find is most A players, most top level closers, most top level appointment setters, most top level executives, they're going to invest their self in training. They're going to personally invest in the training. So we need to make sure as a team, we're training in the right areas and we're training in something that we can discuss and help build up one another. Second thing that's very important, and so training is going to be very important, end of session reports. Now, this usually means end of day. You finished up your day, and this should be across the board for everybody, not just, I see too many companies do it just for their closers or just for their appointment setters. No, this should be for your account executives. This should be for your media buyer. This should be for everybody that does an end of session report. I say end of session because many times it's going to be end of day. We definitely want an end of day that they can report back. Have a Slack channel set up somewhere they can post it. Now, some of these end of session, this is important, depends on your organization, need to be public. They need to see. They need to I would have all of my sales associates or salespeople in a channel where it's public. They can see they can see what other people are struggling with, where their help is, where they're growing. They can learn. Okay. And then you need to go in as the sales director, as the business owner, whatever, and need to respond to each one every single day. Now, there's also some that need to be more private. Some of your exec meetings, executives, leadership need to have a private end of session. Everybody does it in the session. Now, I say end of session because it's usually daily, but it can also be weekly. And I like an end of session. I like an end of day, but I also like an end of week or end of month. End of month is very important. I was working with a team just recently, and like, how often are you doing these reports? And they're like, well, most of our team forget or just don't do it. We kind of catch up once a week. That's not acceptable. It needs to be every single day. Okay. Which goes back to accountability, which is so we got training, we got end of session, we got accountability. Accountability is holding yourself and holding the team accountable to do these things. Are we showing up Are we showing up for the training? Are we doing the work? Are we doing intercession reports? How are we? And this is the important question. This is more than can really be taught on a video. This is really when I'm getting in, I work with a team. How are the individual members holding themselves accountable? And how's the company holding the team accountable? Because here's important, they need to be in unison. So accountability is going to be very important for some teams. I'll even integrate some accountability partners. Okay, so what it does is help build up a belief system, but it also helps builds up a just a framework of helping one another. Which is very important, which really does increase, I would say, stickiness, and decreases turnover rate, and most importantly, I believe it builds a culture of like being an A player, getting things done. So we have training, very important. We have intercession. We have accountability. Last is meetings. This is something that I have to say is the most important, especially with more and more people in the remote world. One of the only ways to really build culture and teamwork is through meetings. Now, most of the time, I'm going to recommend a daily meeting. I've worked with some people, they do 2 or 3 like huddles a week. Recommend at minimum 3, most likely every single day. Now, a meeting needs to be done properly is the same way. Number one, you show up on time, you show up with cameras on, you do the work, whatever you're prepared for to have that meeting, what you need in that meeting, you already have done prepared, right? You want to conserve time, because here's one thing, a true professional wants to get in a meeting, get what they have to get out of the meeting, share what they have to share, learn what they have to learn, and then move on and be productive. So we want to make meetings, we want to make them concise. We want to make them absolutely effective. And there's a few keys in there, and we'll get into another lesson of how to properly run a meeting, how to properly run it so people come in and find themselves energized, find themselves excited, and they can see their constraints without judgment, can overcome those constraints. There's a whole framework for how to do a meeting. It can be 30 minutes. It can be an hour. It doesn't have to be a long meeting. 30 minutes is great, even with a sizable team, if it's done the right way. So I think this is very important. If you're looking to scale your business, you're looking to grow, you need to really look at the training. You really have to look at intercession reports. You need to look at a massive accountability and have an accountability system in place. And then, of course, our meetings. These are the things that are going to help you become a better business leader, business owner, manager, wherever you're at. If you would like to know more about us and how we can potentially help you with that, then just reach out to me. Go to yourpersuasioncoach.com. And at yourpersuasioncoach.com, you can go and there is a tab at the right. Number one, we have a blog, tons of articles, training, etc. But you can also go to fractional sales management. Go to fractional sales management, click on that. When it comes to fractional, we only work with a certain number of clients each month, period. Because we are doing this. We're doing your training. We're doing we're overviewing your end of session. We're working on accountability. We're working on and doing the meetings. We're taking that off your plate and bringing you massive results. We can only work with a few companies. So if it says, hey, we're booked up, then they'll have a waiting list. But go to yourpersuasioncoach.com and scroll over at the top, over to the right, it'll say fractional sales management. Check into it if it's something you're interested in. If this video has been good, it's been helpful for you, great. I want to tell me how I can even bring you more value. But I want you to write out the team system. In fact, what I'd recommend you go back and watch this video one more time. Let the clear concepts become even more clear, and go through and write out TEAM. Where are you effective, and where could you possibly use some help? So again, Wayne Sutton here. I look forward to speaking with you. And thanks for joining us today.